Hello, 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 and welcome to Lenko Show. Uh, Hello, and welcome to the Lenko Show. This is episode number 128, the place where we talk all things health, performance, and the little nitty gritty details that interlink and have an impact on our lives right the way through, whether it's sport and performance or simply day to day living. That's what we're here for. I'm Alex Lankowski, and I'm here today with my bro again, Chris. How you doing, Chris? You all right?
To be honest, Alex, I don't think that's any of your business.
All right, fair enough. Just a little reminder, this episode is brought to you by Dry Robe. So it is currently the conditions at the minute are pristine. They are begging for such warmth and coziness. I was definitely needing it the other day at American football training for the first session back of the new year because it was absolutely, it just got colder and colder and colder. And it's not warming up anytime soon. So if you've not got a dry robe, go and get yourself a dry robe. If you're planning on doing any sort of outdoor activities, sports, whether it's keeping warm, being dry, or simply getting warm and dry post activity, you need to get one in your life. You need one in your life. Anyway, first episode of 2025. Chris, how was Christmas and New Year? Did you have a good time?
Yeah, I did actually. They were wonderful. What
Right,
about yourself?
moving on. Yeah, I had a good time as well. Thanks. It was very good. Moving on. Obviously, 2025, start of a new year, newbies in the gym. You get the January rush. How do you feel about the January rush?
I feel fine. I'm in a boutique private personal training studio facility,
Fancy
you know,
pants.
atmosphere thing. So we make the rules here, and no one comes in and smashes out open gym and destroys it. They come in and they go to their class, or they go to small group personal training. So it's funny because actually this is a good time to be grateful for all of the things that we get in our facility because in commercial gyms, well, it's mass pandemonium, isn't it?
It's
And sometimes I miss some of the silly things.
do you yeah. It is absolute bad. I suppose we are both blessed at the minute with working in gyms where it is pure straight up membership and it's not necessarily, a cheap 10 quid a month kind of job where anyone can pay, turn up, do what they want and then disappear. It is very much class led, controlled and well managed in terms of the flow of people in and out of the gym and the space that everybody has. However, and I know this is very much a pain point for a lot of my athletes who do train in commercial gyms and gyms that people will be signing up to at the start of the new year to get themselves into shape. And what I will say, I know we miss the silliness. I would personally say try and engage with some of the silliness or some of the things that people are doing that you might not like or think that's ridiculous. Like if you're well versed and you're strong, you're good in the gym. Let's be honest. Most people, you probably live there. It's like your second home. You probably spend more time there than you do in any other place you actually go to, other than your home and your office if you do work elsewhere. The gym is probably your third place. Help people get comfortable in that environment, teach them, help them along the way, enable them to learn how to train, give them a little bit of a guiding hand. And you know, let's be honest, I think, I don't know, probably myself, I've certainly taken the piss out of people in the past. Probably I still do. Sometimes can't help myself, but we're all aiming to just try and get a little bit better. No
I,
one,
I don't think that's wrong. I think this is one of the things people need to accept. First of all, no one's good at anything when they first start. So if you've not been in the gym and it's a new environment, you're probably not going to know what you're doing there. You're probably going to accidentally mess up a piece of kit. You might get in someone's space. You're probably not going to be good at whatever you're trying to do. And also, in doing those things and looking silly and doing the wrong thing, someone probably will take the piss out of you. Like that, but that's okay. That's normal. That will happen. That will happen because, and the thing, do you know what? Reframing this, right? when you've got a good relationship with someone, let's take us for example, Alex. We're all right. We're quite close, right?
No.
Exactly. So that proves my point. 70% of a good relationship is taking the piss out of them.
Yeah, you need to feel comfortable.
Yeah.
You can say what you want to people. Like when you can talk to people that openly and honestly, you've got a very good relationship. Like when Fiona calls me a cretin for various things, that's good, valuable feedback.
Yeah.
Open, like radical candor is the term.
What,
However, it's very
what,
difficult to do that in the right way with people that you're just meeting for the first time or that you're meeting and having an interaction with in the gym. If you go over and call someone an effing knobhead, depending on who it is, they might chin you or they might cry. It's not necessarily going to invoke a valuable or useful response.
well, I think the difference is if you are just rude to someone, like for no reason,
Yeah.
like that's different. If someone takes a piss to go, like let's say, so I had someone once when I approached them in the gym because they were well, I didn't know what they were doing at the time, but they were like looking at the lat pull down a little bit funny, and I went over and I asked them what they were doing and if the lat pull down looked okay because they were sort of like walking around it, looking at it. I said, is it all right?
Is it
Is it
injured?
and they said to me, they said, oh yeah, no, I'm just inspecting it. I was like, oh, perfect, because we've needed that for a few months now. And like, really? And I was joking because I thought they were joking. I was like, well, yeah, probably actually. And they were like, no, honestly, I was looking at it because I didn't know what I'm meant to do with it. I was like, oh, right, okay, let me help you out. Let me help you out. Like, if you just approach someone and go, you're a fucking retard. It says on there what you meant to do. That's a little bit different. That's a little bit different. But still might happen.
I mean,
But if someone does that to you, probably not going to be your friend anyway.
let's be honest. Like, I'll be honest. I can't help having those thoughts in my head.
Yeah, but everyone has those thoughts.
The one-
Everyone does. You watch them, you think, oh my God, there's a sticker on every gym exercise machine ever made that tells you what to do and what it works. There's a handle there and there's a seat there. There's not many things that you could do with this machine. Just explore it. Just explore it. You'll figure it out. You'll figure it out. But
what I will
no,
say that like that is true. However, in the fitness world, we have made a real mess of this because what we've done is we will take, for instance, a simple piece of equipment. Let's say it's a machine lateral raise, and you'll get people face like you'll get fitness influencers facing the wrong way, trying to do some sort of weird fucking
ride it.
glute raise or like push it up with their ass doing donkey calf raises. There will be someone somewhere doing something stupid because it looks trendy, it looks cool. Basically, Joel Seedman sat in his office throwing a dildo at a dartboard kind of situation where you're just trying to make up random exercises for the sake of it. We have ballsed people up, we have screwed up newcomers to the gym by doing stupid stuff on machines that weren't built for those particular things. So, but actually, and flipping the whole thing on its head, the big thing I would suggest is if you are new to the gym and you're thinking of going in and you're shit scared, right? First off, that's allowed. It's normal. Like even when I go into a new gym environment, sometimes I'm a bit like, what's going on here? Like what's the lay of the land? Where can you leave your bag? Is it safe to put stuff down there and leave it? Can you get a barbell out, leave it there and walk off for a second to get something else? Or is someone going to pinch it? Like there's so many different, it's a completely new environment with a different system and the way things work. It's okay to feel a little bit unsettled, a little bit unsure, and a little bit uncertain. What I would suggest is don't be scared and paralyzed into asking for help. Don't become the person that just goes into the comfort zone and goes, right, I'm here at the gym. What I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna like everything's a bit busy, so I'm just gonna go and stand on the treadmill and walk on an incline for 20 minutes and then that'll do me. That'll be enough for me. That'll sort me out. But don't be that person. If there's someone in there that looks like they're able to help, or there's a personal trainer, and let's be honest, a lot of new personal trainers will be wanting to get busy in January. They'll be bored. They'll be looking for stuff to do. They'll be looking for people to work with, new clients. Go and speak to them, ask them questions, ask them to help you around the gym, and if possible, actually invest in their services because at the very least, they'll be able to guide you through an exercise program more efficiently than you trying to make your own way. So don't become the recluse that just kind of sits in your own box, in your own bubble, and doesn't actually go and achieve anything. Push a little, like you've already made it to the gym, push a little further out your comfort zone and actually ask for help. Like the qualifications associated with exercise and then the experience required, whether it's someone training as an athlete themselves, lifting and training over a lifetime, or getting a qualification to work in the industry, getting a qualification to a high standard to work in the industry takes a lot of work, a lot of time, and a lot of intense study. It's not simple, so we do not expect a newbie to be brilliant and know exactly what they're doing from day one.
Yes, I would just like to strengthen that point and make it a little bit longer by saying any good gym nowadays, there are a lot of facilities out there that do different things. And if you want to specialize in whatever, that's fine. But any good gym nowadays will have an appropriate scheme whereby upon actually going in, whether it's your first time or whether you are booking or whatever, they will have some kind of indoctrination process whereby they'll let you know, okay, this is what we're going to be doing here. This is what you want to look to do. These are how we go about these things. And they'll give you at a very, so at commercial gym, so I'm not at a commercial gym, but a commercial gym, even one I was at, which we won't name its name, we'll call it total shitness. Even they had like this program whereby when you joined, like you would be given a card and someone would take you through a very, very simple workout program. So if you go into a gym on your first day, no one introduces themselves, no one's friendly, no one gives you any clue of what you should be doing, I would simply argue you want to look at going to a different gym.
Yeah, yeah, that's the other piece to the puzzle. Like if you, I don't know, I suppose is it a triad? Maybe there are more components, but if you go, well, you've got the individual themselves, we've got us as the athletes, the clientele. Then you've got the trainers and the coaches, and then you've actually got gym staff, gym membership, kind of salespeople. Like all of those things need to come together and actually work in sync in that process for it to be effective. So each aspect has to take some sort of responsibility. So I would say take responsibility for yourself. Feel free to ask for help. If you don't feel like the gym is doing enough for you, leave. Go and find somewhere else. Go and find a gym or a facility that is actually going to cater for you and take care of you and actually help you along the process towards your goals. And I want to just go through. I found a nice little quote, which I'm going to read to you from my
Oh, see you.
Habits That Make a Champion by Alistair McCaw. Credit there for Alistair. Your biggest competition will always be yourself. Don't worry about what everyone else is doing. Just focus on becoming the best version of yourself. And that goes to like new people in the gym. If you think everyone's looking at you,
They are.
no one cares. We don't care. Like I've been in plenty of gyms and like people do weird stuff and I just kind of go, yeah, whatever. It's fine. I'll leave them to it or I'll go over and I'll sometimes be inquisitive and find out what's going on and actually have a conversation because I haven't got any friends. So it's my one way of actually trying to, get some friends. Um, but yeah, that I think we are our own worst enemy and our own competition. And the only thing that matters in this situation is making progress ourselves.
I always think like in relation to that, I kind of changed my stance on it maybe a year ago. I think I recall saying this to you about 6 months ago, but I remember having a conversation with someone and I was like, and what that maybe they are looking at you. Like, and I was kind of joking at the time. I don't think I said it in that tone, but I was like, maybe they are looking at you. I'm like, well, yeah, but I don't want that. I go, well, but what are you gonna do about it? Like that, like some people. So, like honestly. if a heavily overweight person goes into the gym, right? And they're wearing whatever tights or leggings they want. They might be colourful, they might not, they might be normal. There's going to be people that are going to look at them. There is. That's just the way it goes. It could be a guy, it could be a girl. Someone will look at you, but it's you that's then jumping to the conclusion that they're judging you. And by the way, they might be judging you, but this is a solid Alex Hormozy quote here. Stolen. Little shout out to my mate Alex Hormozy, second best Alex in this podcast.
Yeah,
And he he says about like, okay, they are looking at you, and what are you going to do? Like, if they're judging you for being fat, let's just say that's what it is, because that's let's say worst case scenario. You can either leave and carry on like
being fat.
where you're at, or you can do something about it. Like, these people might judge you initially because that's a human trait. Like, you might have a look at someone, you might judge them, whatever. But if eventually, if you engage with them, you have a conversation, they've now got more to go off than just the way that you look. Like,
Yeah.
I think some of it, genuinely, I think some of it for fitness people is they don't see an overweight person. They like visually, yes, but there's more going on than that. They look at it and they think, well, that person's not into what I'm into. I eat a certain way. I train like this. My life looks very, very different to their life. You're probably not going to get on as best mates, like just based on the fact that you would probably wouldn't spend time together, but you might. You might. So, like, yeah, expect that some people will look at you and some people will go a step further and judge you. Some knobheads out there might even tell you that. They might call you something, whatever, but fuck it. Like, you're there to do something about it. And if you do something about it in 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months' time, fuck, in 2 years' time, it'd be totally different. And you can do it back to them if you really want. No, don't do that. But, you know,
I was going to say that's actually a good way to think about it. Like, if people are going to look at you no matter what, and you can't control that, you can't stop it. My next question for someone would be, all right, so they're going to look at you no matter what. How do you want them to look at you? Simple way of thinking about it. And like, this is something that I think we don't really
like this.
consider, but it's a huge part of goal setting. And if anyone has if you have created yourself some New Year's resolutions this year, this is something I'm actually going to go through on our performance chat with all my clients in a couple of weeks' time, where we have our monthly meeting, and I'll run through some stuff. I'll go through some questions and go through a few details of things, give them a few bits of feedback, and they can ask questions. It's basically like an open podcast, really. Um, but I'm going to go through a specific session targeted around habits and goal setting, which are kind of stemming from New Year's resolutions. So if you think about, well, what's the New Year's resolution that you've set? Why do you want to achieve that? Then what habits are you actually going to work on along the way? What new habits are you going to create? What bad habits do you need to kind of run a program over the top of? Because if you just say, oh, I'm just going to stop this, very difficult to do it, because you're going to be running that program anyway. There's going to be specific triggers that will switch you into that kind of pathway of either thinking or behavior. You need something to overwrite that piece of programming. You need something else in the way of it, over the top of it, to enable you to get on with that. But then if you go, well, why do you want to achieve those things? Why is that something you want to do? Like, if you're planning on going to the gym or continuing along the route of being an athlete, training in the gym, pursuing some form of athletic goal, why do you want to do that? Like, what are the reasons for it? There might be multiple. And if one, like, I always think about this as well, like, it's there is a little bit of an arrogance thing, because you're not all, like, I don't think it's necessarily true that you're doing it for yourself. You're doing it to feel good about yourself, but part of that is getting some form of credit and praise from people, like certainly people that you care about, but maybe even some form of admiration and adoration. Like, I like that. I enjoy that. Like, if someone was to look at and say, I'm fucking impressed with what you've done there, like that, it feels great. And I think anybody who says, "Oh, nah, it's nah, nah, I don't enjoy it," you're lying. You're lying to yourself, and you're stopping yourself from the next level of actually maintaining a habit, which is to acknowledge that you've done something fucking good for once. Like if you're going to create a new habit and do something, and like if you were to go to the gym, like after work in an evening or first thing in the morning after getting up early on a freezing cold day, do you just brush it off at the end of the day? Or do you actually take the time to sit down, recognize it, acknowledge it, and go, do you know what? I'm proud that I've done that. I'm pleased that I've done that. Do you feel that? Do you think that? Do you then actually go and tell anybody that? Or do other people go, oh, bloody hell, I don't know how you did that. That's really good that you managed to get up and get to the gym this morning or this evening. Do you just kind of go, yeah, well, whatever, and brush it off? Like, don't be that person because that doesn't help you. That's gonna stop you. So I think actually give yourself some credit and think about how you want other people to see you because they're going to be looking at you anyway. Do you want to see them? Do you want them to think of you in as a good light or as a, someone that's just putting in half effort all the time or someone that's constantly showing up, constantly reliably there, consistently doing the business and is someone who is focused and dedicated on actually achieving something. Like for me, though, those are some of the biggest things that you can have. Having that focus and the dedication towards actually improving your own life, for me, is beyond admirable because that then filters through into the lives of other people. It's not selfish because you then put yourself in a position to help the people around you to an even greater extent. And the final piece of this puzzle, I'll let you go in a second, Chris. I'll let you rattle off something. But think about how do you want to see yourself as well? Like, what do you want to think about yourself? How do you want to be able to look at yourself in the mirror in terms of who you are as a person? Because that plays a huge factor in the triggers you can then give yourself to motivate yourself and move yourself to actually do something. Like for instance, like I want to think of myself as someone who is ruthlessly efficient and will do whatever it takes to get a specific job done. Like that's how I want to see I want to see myself as someone who's got that militant mindset of I'm just gonna fucking do it. And the moment I start to put anything off, I can think about that and go, that's not you, mate. What you doing? Get on with it. Do the washing up now. Do the upload the podcast now. Stop like waiting and letting it linger. Just get on with it, get it done, and move on to the next thing. Any thoughts on that, Chris? Anything you want to explore out of that?
No, I think that was tip topperoo that Alex. Very good speech. Very, very stoked about the year now. Very, very good. No, I think I think more so for guys, the issue that they have is a lot of people see that internal work as wishy-washy and a bit gay. But people, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that.
Whatever.
Uh,
Oh,
but,
mate.
but you know what I mean, and I'm sure they will too. I apologize if that offended anyone, but
You
like,
like when you say that, like let's just clarify because I don't want anyone to feel upset.
really,
But
that's
you,
not like you.
but I don't really know how to explain it. But yeah, I used to think that like doing all that internal work was very effeminate, very feminine, very kind of not me, like not hard, not strong, not robust, not very masculine, like a little bit more on the spectrum of what women and females would be thinking, feeling, like thinking of like feeling, thinking and feeling for me, two very different things.
Yeah, I mean, I was going on the lines of it's like a lot of guys as well like to think that they are complete and that they don't need to do any internal work or anything like
Yeah.
that. They are the man, they're macho, they don't need any of that stuff. Like, oh, I can figure it out, I can do it myself. And the other thing to that as well is that people massively underestimate the little things, the little tiny things. So where you were saying about, doing values work and patting yourself on the back for going in and doing a workout that even though you might train 5 times a week and have done for 2 years, people massively underestimate little things like a little bit of, you know what, I did well there. I went and I did that workout and that's my norm. And I normally don't recognize it. And then they massively overestimate doing big things. Like recognizing yourself for doing something small like that is the exact same feeling as recognizing that you've just gone and, I don't know, done something difficult, let's say.
Like run a marathon.
Yeah. Like the emotion's the same, the feeling's the same.
Yeah.
The intensification might even be the same as well. Like the
The
sort of intensity might even be the same. Like,
yeah. Like
don't
the level of pride associated with it. Like yeah, take pride in, you know, making the consistent work, or like take pride in doing the work consistently in working towards that bigger significant goal. Because I mean, like, let's be honest, you never truly know exactly where you're going to end up. You can manifest it, you can think it, you can plan it, but the path you might actually go down might change slightly. But you know you're going to end up in a better place than you would have done if you'd never done the work. So yeah, give yourself the credit for it, and take pride in, if you have been going to the gym for, every week, 3, 4, 5 days a week, twice a week, don't matter what. If you've been doing it consistently for a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, take stock of it. Give yourself a little bit of credit. The One of the things I did want to ask you is, are there any exercises that you think, like whilst we're on the scheme of, trainers and people who are new to the gym, are there any exercises you would suggest you should be avoided at all costs that are just dangerous?
prone hip thrusts.
Prone hip thrusts.
Yes.
Do you want to do a demo?
No. Too dangerous. Refuse to demo. Are there any exercises that I think are too dangerous
Hmm.
for the everyday people, everyday folk?
Um, what's the best way to angle this question?
My answer's no. If we're talking about uh
That helps a lot. Just the fact that you've simplified it and just gone, yeah.
let me be clear. Let me be clear.
Wait, Gary, are you Gary Neville now?
Let me be clear.
Let's be really clear.
Really, really clear. Okay. Let's not get this misconstrued.
Let's be clear.
If we talk about, you know, the index of well-known and well-used exercise repertoire that is out there, and we do not include gimmicky, weird shit from TikTok, then my answer stands. If we then go on to including weird, gimmicky shit from TikTok or from a certain doctor on Instagram,
Yeah, no, that's the situation where there is some weird stuff.
yeah.
Um, so this was born out of just before Christmas. I saw something. It was on Threads, so it was
Well,
on
hang
there.
on. What was your answer?
Um, no, you like exercise, is exercise, movement's movement. Like there's, we'll get into this a little bit further. You first
Okay.
off, you'll see why. So
Yes, boss.
I'm just going to quote first of all. So the thing that I saw was on Threads, and it was a a coach trainer who posted, and he said, as a certified personal trainer, first off, that's not a high benchmark. All right. So let's be really clear. Let's be really clear. Let me be clear. That's not a spectacularly high standard as to, oh my God, you are a professor of profound knowledge. Like, even us doing this podcast, like, I don't feel wholly qualified to be able to say everything that I necessarily do. I feel comfortable in the, oh, I don't know, this is going to put me into, I feel comfortable in that I have the right intentions, the right mindset, and the ability to actually talk about things I do know in enough detail to be able to pass on. some pearls of wisdom. I feel like I've got a good amount of experience that I've been doing it long enough. I've learned enough lessons to provide some form of intelligence to help other people. Being a qualified personal trainer is not that standard. It has taken me 10 years plus to go beyond that, and I've done a degree, multiple other courses. I must have spent, I don't know how much money I've spent on doing various other courses, but done a lot. And I know you're the same, done a lot, read a lot, practiced and preached it yourself an awful lot, worked with hundreds and hundreds of clients. So let's be clear, a certified personal trainer is not the standard bearer for all knowledge with regards to training and exercise. Now, moving on. The next thing he says, one thing I refuse to coach people on is the deadlift.
Oh, yeah, I remember seeing this now, actually.
Fully refuses. So imagine, um, I'll carry it. I'll finish the quote. It's an ego-driven exercise which, if done wrong, can get you paralyzed. There are other ways to get strong. Now, in fairness, yes, there are other ways to get strong. Is it an ego-driven exercise? I would say that's not really fair. It's more down to the individual.
Yeah, that's not the
Right,
exercise. It's not
that's
your
the
deadlift.
person. That's the person doing it.
Yeah.
Thirdly, doing anything wrong is going to cause issues of some variety, whether it is personal injury, whether it's damage to property, or harm to other people. Doing anything wrong is going to cause a problem. So, and I'm just trying to imagine the situation of like how can this person actually? I mean, this person probably makes more money than I do from coaching and training, and the fucker doesn't even want to coach a deadlift. Now, I'm baffled. I'm baffled. But this is the kind of thing that gives me hope that if I keep going, eventually I'll be a multimillionaire, and we'll be all happy land. Everyone will be fit. Everyone will be really healthy. Everyone will be performing really well on the pitch. But I don't understand how a trainer can just simply refuse to coach people a fundamental foundational movement pattern that is important, not just useful in the gym in terms of building muscle and working towards people's training goals, but is actually essential to everyday living. I think it's bloody bonkers. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. I think the deadlift is a fundamental movement pattern, and it's developing, when done correctly, your lower back and getting you better at picking things up from the floor. And arguably, and I remember getting this from Ben McDonald, arguably more important to everyday life than learning to squat. You don't squat that often in everyday life because you get to sit on a seat or something like that or whatever. Whereas you do have to pick things up, and there's no other way around it. Putting your socks on, taking your socks off, putting your shoes on, taking your shoes off. You have to. And if you learn how to deadlift, you are protected in scenarios where you are going to be bending over, picking things up, even getting up off the floor, things like that. And I think if you are a certified personal trainer, I, I don't know what you are qualified to do if not coach someone through like one of the basic fundamental movements. Like it's more important than a bench press. And I've seen some pretty dicey bench presses that you could definitely get paralyzed doing that.
Let's be clear. We're gonna keep using that.
Let's be clear, guys.
Let's be clear.
Leg presses. We've all seen what can happen on a leg press.
Push-ups, probably one of the exercises that I think is done worse by beginners than pretty much anything. Wrists every, shoulders every, elbows up by the ears, all over the place, like horrendous.
I also with a deadlift, like if even if you were to get it wrong, which most people will at the start, that's still right. Like with a light enough weight, like no, learning to deadlift incorrectly for a prolonged period of time is not doing you as many favors as learning to do it right. But even if you were doing it wrong, if the weight is correct, like you are still getting better and still getting stronger and still becoming like more functional.
Yeah. You're getting closer to graining that movement pattern into the groove where it's actually, you know, quality technique. And it takes time. Like you have to take your time with it. Go easy. Like learn to enjoy it to start with. You don't need to go really heavy from day one. Like you're not going to be pulling up 200 kilos just like that. I just want to kind of go into that. Yes, people can get seriously injured in the gym. No denying that. Like I've seen people break their necks whilst back squatting, like when they failed it and it's like rolled over their cervical spine. Like that's actually killed people. I've seen people get buried under bars whilst bench pressing. I've been there myself. I've pulled my back whilst deadlifting, so being there myself, I have done that. And granted, a lot of that was through making mistakes myself in my progress to actually training and learning and trying to be a better athlete. Now, these are the lessons I'm trying to pass down to my clients and obviously to our clients together. So mistakes have been made.
I also think very few people, let's be clear, very few people have injured their back on a deadlift learning it as a beginner. People injure their back on a deadlift after doing it wrong for 6 months, or after loading it up with 120 kilos after a year, or after trying to prove something to the mates, like by really loading it up, but by training the movement properly, like
Yeah.
no one hurts their back doing that.
No. Or doing an excessive amount in a high intensity training session
Oh
class.
yeah, that could happen. Forgot
That's
about that.
also
Let's be
bad on
clear.
wear and tear.
Do that.
But just in terms of going into the actual injury rate, so found a snapshot from a study here. Unfortunately, I've cropped out the researchers for it, so I will have to dig that up and try and rectify that at some point. But this is injuries per 1,000 hours of participation, and rugby comes out on top with 43 injuries per 1,000 hours of participation. Football or soccer comes out with 35. Then you've got squash, very dangerous. Hockey, basketball, netball. Running is more dangerous than weightlifting. Running comes out at 12.1 injuries per 1,000 hours. The treadmill claims more victims than weightlifting with 6 injuries per
Be
1,000.
gloved on treadmills, guys.
The rowing machine
Oh,
claims more victims than weightlifting.
yeah.
In fact, actually, elite level powerlifting comes out at 3.6 injuries per 1,000 hours of participation, and powerlifting as an adolescent comes out at 0.85 injuries per 1,000 hours. So
So,
it's not what you do, it's not the exercise itself that's evil, it's the way you're doing it and the way you're loading up. So I think this is the fundamental lesson for anyone listening today who is either new to the gym or even if you are a well-trained athlete, like do things well, do things right, do it with correct form. Don't get ahead of yourself when it comes to training. Especially, it's like if you're an athlete as well, especially when it comes to this, like the one thing that the weight room cannot do is get in the way of your performance on the pitch. So chasing PBs and things like that in the gym, all well and good, but it is simply there. Your training in the gym is simply there to facilitate what happens on the pitch or the court or the field. That's it. That's all it's for. It's just to help you get better in that environment. And, you know, chasing one rep maxes isn't necessarily going to be the best thing for you. So don't worry about it. And if you're brand new to it, take your time. Take your time and earn the right to lift more weight?
Remember back to episode 117 where we were talking about strength is also a skill. I made up that number. I don't know if that was the episode, but we talk about
Probably.
how strength is a skill and it's neural. And, every exercise that you do will have a potential output based on how well you execute it. And there will always be a barrier on your potential, on you achieving the best possible results if your technique is not optimized for you on a specific exercise or executing it in a specific way so that you can apply it on your arena, field, what have you. You want to perform it in the way that it is designed to be done in the way that produces the best results for you. And doing things incorrectly is very much part and parcel of being a beginner. That will happen, but learn to do things and execute them as well as you can. Because remember, every time you train, think of like a very specific example is Olympic weightlifting, right? If you do 10 snatches in a workout and nine of them are fucking shit, and you knew that they were shit and you just did them anyway, and I don't mean like they were, you know, you were focusing on one thing and you did that thing right. I mean, like you just did them and you ragged the weight because it's your third ever CrossFit class and you're training for grace as fast as possible. And you've done nine shit snatches and then one that was all right. First of all, you are building data points because you realize, oh, that one felt all right. I did something different there. But also, you are learning to get better at moving that weight in that very shit manner. And that's where you can fuck yourself up. You big, dumb idiot.
Chris, you've been very aggressive today.
Yeah, I apologize, everyone. Uh,
Are you all right?
learn to execute the movements safely to a high standard. High standards.
Yeah.
High standards. I fucking love just as simple as that. Someone's not doing what they could be doing. Listen, mate, high standards. Let's go.
Oh,
Sort it out.
so you value high standards and you want to be seen as someone who has high standards. Is that correct, Chris?
Yes, however, I don't really emulate that.
And do you want to see yourself as someone who has high standards?
Oh yes, very much so. Very, very much so, yes.
Then brings us back round full circle to where we were at the start of this episode. Listen, thank you very, very much for listening today. Hopefully, you found some useful little tidbits within that episode. What I would say, I'm going to throw this out right here for you at the very end. Like as I mentioned earlier, I do my monthly performance chats with my clients. The next one is on. Da, 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 da. I should know the date off by heart, but I don't. January the 20th, which is a Monday. It is Monday evening at 8 p.m. UK time until 9 p.m. If you would like, if you would like to attend and you are listening to this podcast now, drop me a message on Instagram, Alex underscore Lenkowski underscore performance, and I will send you a link for you to attend that call. You don't have to contribute, you don't have to do anything. You can just sit there, be a fly on the wall, but we're going to go through goal setting and habits, breaking down New Year's resolutions into consistent daily habits, and then specific targets throughout the year that are going to let you know you're on your way. If you would like to come along to that, if you feel like you would benefit, drop me a message and I will send you the invite link and I will see you there. Chris, I believe you're potentially going to be there as well. Is that correct?
Oh yes, 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 I will be there.
So again, you'll get two coaches within the same session and we will go through everything you could possibly want and be able to give you different perspectives on breaking down goals and getting to the real crux of what is going to motivate you and drive you forward this year and make 2025 your best, most positive, productive year to date. So, if you would like to hop on that, drop us a message and let's go. Let's not hang around. Let's not waste any time. Let's get stuck in and get right to it. Thank you very much for listening. That is it from me.
That is also it from me. Thank you very much for being here and listening to us today. We have had a really nice time. Have a really good 2020.
All the best, guys. Have a great one.
Hey, dry robes.